Identity crisis. Am I a software engineer anymore? I'd say this guy looks Persian. What do you think? Here we have an article from Annie Vella. Talks about how our identity is found through building things. Then it goes into an argument about how that has changed with AI. Are we still building things, or are we just sending AI agents to do it for us? I would say we are still building things. So it goes on to say AI coding assistants aren't just changing how we write software, they're fundamentally transforming who we are. We're shifting from creators to orchestrators, from builders to overseers, from engineers to something that looks suspiciously like managers. Really, we're just sending off time savers. Instead of having to slave over the code, you can envision this black box where you're inputting your code. Let's just call this your IDE. Before AI, what did we have? We had things like libraries. Right, I know in LeetCode interviews, they have us freaking implementing quicksort and crazy algorithms, but typically all of the data structure and algorithms you need, there's like some library. It's rare that you were just straight raw dogging an algorithm. It goes on to discuss the joy that's lost with AI and talks about the joy of coding. Programmers' loss of social identity. The social group I still identify with shares my values. We value learning. We value the merits of language design, type systems, software maintenance, levels of abstraction, and yeah, if I'm honest, minute syntactical differences, the color of the bike shed, and the best way to get that perfectly smooth shave on a yak. The love of learning hasn't changed in this new landscape. At least for me personally, a big joy that I got from programming was in the learning. I used to spend hours and hours just reading documentation and quizzing myself and doing LeetCode and things that made me feel as though I was becoming more knowledgeable just at programming. You should read this article, but the article does get into a very sane approach of, hey, we're builders, right? We are builders at the end of the day. Bob's the builders. I know it feels as though when we're building, it feels like we're doing less, or it's like we have less control. But oddly enough, we have pretty much the same level of, I mean, there's definitely some deterministic thing, but typically those deterministic parts weren't what mattered anyway. One thing that really sucks with AI sometimes is this part here. When, you know, things go wrong and it really is a vibe debugging session, dude. It's like, definitely it feels like this, right? It feels like we're kind of just shooting the shit, man, out into the dark. Vibe debugging. Whenever I feel bad, I just think about this image. Right? If you could swap lives with someone for a day, who would you be? But I say we change this. I say we change this with pre-AI coder. Right now, you know, we've been using AI for years. We've already forgotten how much time we wasted and spent trying to find a solution to a problem because it was nested in the freaking depths of documentation. And I get it. There are certain aspects that I miss as well. As time goes on, we only remember the good things. And this is how I feel like we are with coding today. And we're reminiscing on things that we thought we missed, but really we really do not miss. And you know, I'm being a little bit insensitive. I do feel, especially for new programmers, right? Let's think about the tiers of coders, right? You got people who coded pre-AI, people who didn't code pre-AI. And then within these, right, you've got buckets. So you've got the senior, the junior. If we look at this as a hierarchy of tier, right, which is better to be in a camp of? Personally, I would put a senior at A. You have an idea of what it means to have technical debt on a level that no junior could have. They weren't able to get to this level pre-AI. And so this is an A. The junior, they're in an S tier because they got just enough experience, basic understanding of technical debt, that they get to appreciate the AI tools and not feel some type of way, right? They're not as attached. Seniors are often more attached. Now, I've seen this not be the case, right? There are engineers that are in their 50s and they've adapted, right? They're using AI agents and they're ahead of the game. They might even be ahead of juniors. But then you have people who didn't code pre-AI. I feel they are in the B tier. It's great that they have AI and they can create whatever they want. The downside to have never having experienced coding yourself is that you don't get to see and feel the excitement for what it can produce in such a short period of time. I'll say the really awful part now. For the first time in my life, I'm suddenly wary of meeting other computer programmers, air quotes, in the wild. I feel like there's a decent chance we won't actually have much in common, let alone values or morality. Well, this article creator I agree more with because they identify the programmer really as a builder, right? Builder first. I've always felt that my relationship with other engineers comes from the fact that we just like to solve problems and we like to build things. I've never felt this part, right? Feeling like I don't belong because of new technology. I encourage you to read this article. Maybe there's some things in here that you'll resonate with. I feel like if you're angry about AI and coding, you could just come to this website and get your anger out.